Um, so, Jasna held, I pronounced that correctly,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Okay. How long have you been telling stories for?
More than 17 years. So 17 years passed in spring. So 18th now, becoming mature.
And then how did you get into it? How did you start?
Well, this is a longer story and connected with war experience.
Okay.
You know, I was always, I felt in love with the fairy tales, and I discovered the fairy tales in the moment I started to read. And this was the world which I felt in love in the first moment, and I was always looking for fairy tale books and so on. So I had one book, luckily I get it from the school, some selling man, and this was a book with a big one, with a brown cover, you know, this chocolate brown cover with the golden letters, 100 most beautiful tales in the world. It was not a picture book, it was just, you know. And then I was, having now finally beautiful tales, which I could read whenever I wanted. And this is what I used much, especially in the time when I was in puberty. Whenever I had a hard time, which was often with growing up, it's not easy at all. Mm-hmm. And I was running and reading a fairy tale book, and hiding in fact from the others, being a girl and reading fairy tales, well, what is this? But every time I felt better, and I felt safe, and I felt good every time after reading a fairy tale. So I was reading fairy tales, but I was married very early, and I got 3 children. And finally, I could openly again read fairy tales, not hiding anymore. So I was reading to them during daytime, but not often, but every evening was regular, before the sleeping. And this was reading always. But then, I came to the time when it was too much for me. I wanted the children to go to sleep as soon as possible. And they were always keen on when the light is on, they always look, and so I turned the light off, and then I couldn't read. Then I started to tell, and then I was telling and telling and telling, and then that's how in biographies is the war happened into my country, into my city, and this is a long story to tell about, especially about Dubrovnik and the war in Dubrovnik. I will just tell situation what happened connected with the fairy tales. So I found myself in a shelter down in the basement of the house together with all the other people and with my 3 children. And the oldest one was 9, the middle one 5, and the youngest 3. When the shell shut the house, and when all of us, we were all thrown from the air pressure to the wall, and some dust rise, and it was chaos. Children started to scream, and mother to call for them, and the old ones were yelling, because remembering also other war. And at that moment, just in that moment of horrible chaos, my oldest one, 9 years old girl, came and said, "Mother, tell us a fairy tale." And I was shocked, in that moment many thoughts passed through my head. I thought, well, fairy tale now, I couldn't imagine. Fairy tales and storytelling for my children was a special moment before sleeping, sheltered, intimate, private. And here in this chaos and shells were falling from the first rays of sun till the last one, every 30 seconds. And how? And in this chaos, but during all these thoughts that passing through my head, she repeated, "Mother, Mommy, please tell us a fairy tale." And then I felt I had to listen to this, obey. And then I collected all the children from the shelter and some adults in one little room. We sat on a floor covered with a blanket, and there was a candle which was not because of romance. It was because it was the only light. And even this candle was not new. It was made from leftovers of the other candles. And I started to tell. And from the just after the first sentence, something very strange happened. The faces started to shine, and the eyes of the small ones and big ones were wide open, and this was special atmosphere. And we were in the other world. We were at the same moment there, but we were on the other world where we were safe, and nothing could hurt us, because don't forget, every 30 seconds, each 30 seconds, one shell. So we were safe, and after this tale, we were not afraid as before. And at that moment, for the first time in my life, I realized that the fairy tales are influencing other people in the same way as it was for me, because I never think about that.
So it had a huge deal with children and your experience with you both being a child and having children was a huge influence on that.
Can you repeat, please?
Sorry. So did that mean that they had a connection between your childhood and suddenly their childhood, or was it past childhood and just sort of?
I don't think it's, is it childhood or not? So they were grown-ups. It was a real world where we were. Mm-hmm. So we were there where there was shooting, and we were on the other world where it was real world. And where is this world? And what is this? I will leave this as a question, because it is upon all of us to ask ourselves, what is this? Where is this? And just the start is from this how do you feel when you listen this? Not what do you think, because how do you feel? This is, I think, the base of which we can talk on this more.
Okay. Do you have any advice, any techniques for especially young people who are trying to tell stories?
In fact, there is only one thing, which is for me main one, and this is also, it is simple to say, but it's not so simple to reach, but it's very possible. So you have to be there. You know, you have to be there. You have to see, you have to smell. There is one, you have to feel. I have one story with a fish, a baconing a fish, and each time when I'm describing what is going on, I have water in my mouth. So you need to be there, and that's why on the end of the fairy tales often a storyteller says, I was there too, and there was water running out of my mouth, but didn't come back. Okay. That's a secret.
Yeah, it's a good secret to share.
Yeah.
And then what do you think, for the most part, your audience is when you tell a story? Who are you aiming for? An age group, a gender, a nationality, anything, or just everybody?
Everybody. No difference. Because I had, of course, when I have special group, then I choose special stories. Mm-hmm. But if I have mixed group, it's not possible, then I put the stories which everybody can listen, depends. But it's also, so I have in my repertoire stories for everybody. It's not, there are no limits. Everybody who wants to listen, I say always.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what do you think makes a good story? Like the thing that you see in a story and you think, I love that story, I'd love to tell it.
Depends, but it's very connected. So it's something about the feeling and placing you in the world. Sometimes I'm trying to find a story when I feel and something is going on which hurts me, which something in a society, for example, aggressive things, and I was hurt by this. So I was looking for these tales, which I was telling. So it's always for a storyteller. A storyteller, it's not only the speech he has to develop. He has to develop listening very, very much, because without this is not good, because otherwise we can just tape it and send it. No, this is really connecting, And also, well, it's for young storytellers to start. Of course, I was young as well, younger, not so young, but younger much than now. It is better and better when you are aging, because then from your biography, you know, this is a storyteller. It's from your biography, you know about what you are telling about. This is beautiful feeling after. So aging with the storyteller is
good stuff.
yeah.
And is there something that a storyteller does that bugs you, like a particular thing that you see a storyteller do that you just think it not ruins it for you, but you dislike?
You know, it's the way of tolerance. So we are all different, and it's always also to listen, to open yourself, your prejudice, to see what is this. There are something which I would never do on this way, but in fact you have to be objective. You know, objective to not just I don't. It's not the only. You are not the only one who are right. You know, it's not possible. So just to be open and to listen, and really, and so I'm trying always to do this, and to see, and there are things which I'm saying I'm not, but I like it's good, and I realize why, and so to just feel this is about this, listening.
Okay, and then
it's not only ears who are listening, no.
Right.
Yeah.
And then finally, what is your favorite story ever?
This is the question which I often have. And it's always the same answer. That one which I'm telling at that moment.
Okay, so it's all about what you're doing.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
which means you have to be there at that moment. And even if you 100 or 500,000 times you tell the same story, that for that time it's always the first time. You have to be there. So that's of course that at that moment when I'm telling, that's the favorite one.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.